get all that you want. And for us as children of God this time, for this new year, for us to now to achieve this topic, for us to achieve our purpose, for us to achieve our goal, we must know him who provide, who supply according to his riches in glory. I will just give us some brief overview about God today, and maybe next week we'll continue. Just brief, then we'll continue. And so this day, I remember very well, if you call our recent convert, what will I say, those that we are baptized last year, November last year, 2023, if you just call them now and say, who is God? That's Chemaka, Allah Ruhu Neme, Sarki Madawami me Ikoduka. Koya Yane, Elda Budu. Allah Ruhu me Sarki Madawami me Ikoduka. So we are looking at God. God is a spirit. Brethren, let's just go through this as we pray together this morning. I say, God is not an old man. You see, when you ask anybody or you ask these children, how does God look like? How is God? Tell us the nature of God. You will say that God is a big man with big head. See, God is somebody that is big. You cannot carry him. God is big. God is this. He will just describe the God for you as somebody who is big. But I say God is not an old man in the sky. And he's there in the sky. And he's there in the sky. And he's sitting down here in the sky. He has a place there that he's sitting there up here in the sky. I say God created time and space, and is therefore beyond time and space. We preach on a topic, season here. You see, season, time and space. Between time and space, we have season in between. And now for you now, to achieve what you want, then you have to follow the step. We will follow it step by step. And so this morning, we are saying that for us now to achieve, we need to know the person that we want to achieve from. This means that God is not short. It's not tall, male, female, young, or old. The challenge of talking about God is that God's nature is so far beyond our own that we can only catch the glimpse of God's glory. It is impossible to use human mind to understand everything about God, or to use human language to capture everything about what? About God. How do we know about God? How do we know God? How do we know God? How do we know God? What we do about God, we primarily know through the Bible. For you to know God, I have a Bible from the beginning, you see. I have a Bible for us, which we are going to read it later. We are going to read it later. That Timothy, we are going to read it later. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. We are going to read it later, not now. We're going to read it later. For you to know God, how do we know God? We know God through the Bible. God identified himself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Old Testament. According to Exodus, as you can see, Exodus and also Acts. He also described himself as I am. I am. I am. By these two names, we know that God is both intimately personal and concerned with individual people. He loves dearly, and he is the most supreme being. And I say, he is a being, a supreme being. The Bible does not give us one specific definition of God. Instead, it assumes God's existence from the beginning. According to John chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was what? Was God. So if from the beginning, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, that means that even before the creation, God was there in existence. That is why in Genesis chapter 1, when you read from verse 26, the Bible said, let us. Now we are looking at the Trinitarian doctrine. Let us. So God exists even before creation. God exists and reveal his nature and walk throughout. God is understood as supreme being. This is, we look at it as by definition. We look at God as supreme being and creator of the universe. Or God is the supreme being, the creator and ruler of all that is. All that is. Everything that is. Of all. That is, God is self-existing. Self-existing, one who is perfect in power, goodness, and wisdom. We are trying to look at God. I'm just giving you all the glimpse of how we get to know God. The definition of God varies widely depending on the personal belief, cultural, religious, and philosophical perspective. If you go back to the Hindu, we look at the Brahma. We look at the Vishnu. You look at the Brahma, you look at the Vishnu, you look at the Brahma, they believe in that. But I will not dwell on that one now. But when we come to look at the character of God, looking at the character of God, then we'll discuss this one in detail. We'll just look them, then we'll look at the character of God. But for today, I want us to look at God. Who is God? And how you get to know God very well. And if you know God, let me just tell you whatever. And I preach this message because today is the first Sunday of the year, 2024. Please, I want you to know God. I want to know God and the power of his resurrection. Once you know God and his power, whatever you ask in his name, there is a matter so key. Knowing God. Moses was directed by God to go to the Egyptian Pharaoh and demand the release of the Israelites. Moses asked God, behold, I am going to the sons of Israel, and I will say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. Now they may say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Exodus chapter 3, verse 13. What will I say to them? What shall I say? What shall I say? Listen to the answer. Listen to the answer.